apologize for starting the program behind schedule. Hello and thanks for joining the midweek edition of Journalist Hangout. I'm Adedayo Odufowokan. Today on the program, Tinubu visits President Buhari, describes agitation for 2023 presidency as wrong and untimely. Court restrained INEC from conducting by-election to fill 14 seats in Edo Assembly as Commission fixes January 25th for court-ordered rerun polls. 30 died, 30 killed, 36 injured in fresh bomb attack in Borno Bridge. And later on the show, security outfit Operation Amotekun takes off in southwest amidst fears and hopes. I'll be hanging out with Dari Odufowokan and Jerry Ozo is also in the studio. So if you're ready, let the hangout start now. Thank you for joining us once again. Now, to our dismay, the clamor for the 2023 presidency in Nigeria is getting louder. We just finished election in 2019 and reminding us of the statements credited to the American author and theologian James Freeman Clark that a politician thinks of the next election, while a statesman thinks of the next generation. The national leader of the All Progressive Congress, APC, Bola Tinubu, has frowned at such agitations. Speaking with newsmen after a meeting with President Buhari at the presidential villa in Abuja on Tuesday, Tinubu described the agitation for the presidency in 2023 as wrong and untimely. He said the interest of the country, not election, is what people should be discussing now. Let's hear from Asiwaju Bola Tinubu.
Restlessness of politics is going to be there. But any lover of this country will not talk about the succession plan yet. That's the truth. Concentrate on working for the country, help the country, help the president to help the country. It's not anything more than that. Yes, politics is intoxicating, is flamboyant, is interesting, but we cannot continue in perpetuity, one after the other. We have to relax, show concern for the people of the country, and see to the effort of the president that we manifest in the new, united, and prosperous country.
National leader of the All Progressive Congress, Asiwaju Bola Tinubu. Dari, this agitation started in 2019. Yeah. We had election February, March 2019. Immediately after the election, even before the Supreme Court rested, the court cases, petitions, we've started hearing it's the North will not cede power, the South, it's the turn of the South, it's the turn of the Southeast, the turn of the Southwest. Now, getting into 2020 now, some people have been, I read something, but I have not been able to ask from him because he has been out of the country, that the Attorney of the Chief Olabode Judge saying he too he's going to throw his hat into the ring. And when you look at it, 2023 is still far.
For the politician, 2023 that looks like 4 years to you. It's 4 days away. And that's a very, very short time in politics and politicking. But like Asiwaju said, it has to be about the politician and the statesman. The politician is very concerned about waging electoral wars and winning. And he thinks he needs all the time he can get to prepare. But the statesman may be a politician, but after every electoral contest, won or lost, he or she thinks about the country. Now, can we put politics aside and look at what is good for the country? But in all this, there's something we are ignoring, or there are some people we are ignoring. These are professional politicians. They don't contest the election. You don't see them pasting posters. But they are permanently there for the purpose of helping or urging contestants and political parties to contest and win elections or even lose. They are there. They have nothing else doing. At the end of a particular election, that is the end of a business era for them. And they need to be concerned about starting a new one all year round. The 4 years you are using to think about governance, they have nothing else doing. So they keep creating electoral contests, even if it has to be in their own imagination. The contest must continue even when there are no elections around. The contest must be on the pages of the newspaper. It must be in the minds of the people. It must be out there on the streets, because that is where they are active. That is where they benefit. So as long as we have this kind of people to contend with, and as long as politicians patronize, political parties patronize this set of people, we are going to discover that we are contesting election every day of the 365 days in a year and every year in a decade. So there is no rest. For them, it's a chain, and the chain must keep rolling. So these are the set of people who wake up in the morning and they assume that so person should be interested in the presidency in 2023, and they gather a group for such person and start agitating. These are the set of people who feels, the knot must be put in check in case they have intention of holding on to power. So they start an agitation group. These are the set of people who feel that President Buhari must have a hand or a stake in who succeeds him. They are either writing on the pages of newspaper that President Muhammad should immediately choose his successor, or they are even advising him.
Or doing a national broadcast.
Or visiting him to tell him, choose your successor. So these are people who play the mind game of politics all year round. So for them, there is no respite.
But Jerry, looking at it, Asiwaju is looking at it from the context that, look, this is like a distraction. That, this administration has promised to do 1, 2, 3 things if re-elected the second time. That now when you're talking about 2023, is like a distraction to this administration.
Absolutely.
Before President Buhari.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I agree with the national leader of the APC. The bane of our politics in this part of the world has been that we've really had few statesmen in politics. We've had most times political jobbers, just like as Dari said. You talked about professional politicians, but that should not be the philosophy behind our politics, and I think that's the bane of our situation in this part of the world. So I think I agree with the national leader. 2023 is still very much far, and I think what the president needs to do is to concentrate on governance, because he has already promised Nigerians,
so many things.
So many things, and this time is not the time to actually be faced with any distraction. You need to concentrate, and Nigerians are yearning for the dividend of democracy. In fact, there are some school of thought who believe that Nigeria's democracy since 1999 have not really, given birth to dividends of democracy, like deliverables of democracy. So I think this is the time for the president to actually, concentrate, and any politician who actually have the interests of Nigeria at heart must look at the Nigerian interest first, and which is, let's concentrate, let's work. This is not time to actually talk about politics. I think I agree with the national leader.
Dari, earlier, the House of Representatives, the National Assembly actually shut down a bill that proposed that one time of 6 years for any president. Part of the reason they gave was something like this kind of distraction.
Before you know it,
every election politics starts. That if I have a single time of 6 years, you'll be able to face your time, and you know that, look, it's a single time, and you're not really seeking an election. And in the calculation of 4 years, they will tell you that the last year, let's say to the election, that governance would have stopped, politicking, everybody will go back to our constituency, and it's just going to be politics all the way. So they can actually do a calendar that after some time now, INEC will release the calendar for 2023 election. By the time we started doing all this staggered election and everything, you know, people are really
the year
scheming.
is gone in a 4-year term. Sure. And then as good as that proposed bill was, it was actually, in my own opinion too, Nigeria is actually not ready for a single term.
Single term of 6 years.
A single term of 6 year or 4 year or 8 year. We are just not ready for it. Politics for now is a vocation to a lot of people. So much so that if you try to reduce the number of times in their lifetime they will have to play politics, they will kick. And that was what we saw playing out on the floor of the National Assembly as per that bill. But the genuineness of the reasons behind this should not be overlooked. When you get elected, look at what we have since 2019 May. People were sworn in. We still have some states where we are yet to have commissioners. There are some states. Yeah. They are yet to, have commissioners. This is January. That's 7 months after. So you will assume without conceding that the first year in itself is spent settling down. Now after the first year, you have the second and the third to deliver, because at the very beginning of the fourth year, is it that governor is seeking re-election or is planning to install a successor? So he is busy with politicking.
Don't even forget that in that first year you were talking about, there will be litigation.
Of course,
the governor will be going from tribunal to court of appeal.
Then you will discover that in that last year, his cabinet is depleted with people who want to contest this, contest that. Yeah. The National Assembly members are distracted. They are also seeking re-election or planning to go and become governors. Yeah. So then the last year is spent not governing really, but politicking. And that is exactly why we would say, now that a new government is in place in May, and we're in January, even like you rightly said, by July last year, we were already discussing 2023.
Yeah, sure. Honestly.
And that is going to do a lot of harm to our politics, not just our governance, our politics, because this is party democracy. And in a party democracy, apart from forming government, we are also developing our own democracy, giving our democracy bites. But if all we do is discuss elections, when are we going when are political parties going to contribute to governance? Because they also have the role of looking at what the people, they went campaigning to the people. And when we went to so place, they wanted this. When we went to this place, they wanted this. When are we now going to have political parties contributing to policies? Because the moment you start discussing the next election, party leaders and the people in government will soon clash. Oh, this man don't want me to get a second election, the party chairman in my state. Like you are already seeing in some states. Already some ruling party chairmen are already fighting the governors. Because the governors are suspecting, this guy may not allow me get a second term. Or the party chairman is suspecting the governor wants to remove him so that he can have a smooth sail for second time. You discover that politics, like Asiwaju said, always distracts governance. And the moment we allow the two to almost go side by side, not giving space, not having respite, then we are destroying the entire democracy. Because one must give way for the other. When election is coming, governance must give way for politics.
Jerry, can we make a kind of law to this effect that, like, if formally now I know that if INEC has not lifted the ban on politics, you can't start campaigning, you can't you can't campaign. Now, even declaring your intention, it's becoming worrisome, and talking anything about the next election, as it were.
Well, I don't really think it will be that easy to actually make a law to actually deprive people from actually expressing themselves. I don't know if it's going to be an infringement on freedom of speech and freedom of expression. I think the most important thing has to be the enlightenment of the people. How are the people, depending on the masses, how enlightened are they? How politically conscious are they? Because some of these professional politicians, they come with, the sweet talk, and, all we need is to have a political conscious masses, a political conscious masses that are enlightened, matters that can ask the right questions, that can probe the right questions. So it's a pity that although our democracy is actually unfolding, but we need to have statesmen, politicians that would think for the interest of the people, for the interest of the nation, and that is the beauty of democracy, and that is the philosophy behind democracy in itself. So I think that is what we should do. How do we enlighten the people? How do we build political consciousness in the people?
Now, let me take you to the fringe part of it now. It's as if beyond who is going to be the president, the next president and everything, the preoccupation now is who is going to, the region that is going to produce the next president. And without being told, I know this is like a booby trap. It's going to be a debate that will be on the polity till 2023 itself. And it's going to be some people, some governors are already reading the stake that we don't need a rotation, we just need merit. There's nothing wrong with that. If a northerner take the shot and the southerner will tell you that no, that it should rotate back to the south. And this is the kind of distraction we might be experiencing in the next 2-3 years before we start talking about individual.
It has started already, and then no matter what we do, it will take me to the question you asked him before I come to this. You see, let me pick a call from UK. Okay. Olalekan is calling us from the United Kingdom. Thank you for joining us, Olalekan.
Yeah, hello.
Yes, Lekon.
My contribution is, I agree with what Ashwaji said, but there's another thing, that is my own opinion, because our election in Nigeria, they spent 4 years. I rather prefer our National House of Assembly and Senator to extend the year to 5 years, because of after the election, people go to court, and if you look at the time they spend, it's less than 4 years. So if they can do it 5 years, I think that would be better. Like UK is 5 years.
Okay.
So I think that would make sense. They should look into that.
Thank you, Olalekan. Thank you for your contribution all the way from the United Kingdom.
Yeah, I was going to say, talking about whether we could have a law or whatever, I think it has to do with the individuals. For example, Ashwaji just set the ball rolling. He's one of those whose names have been mentioned.
In fact, interest groups have been springing up.
But he came out.
He has dissociated himself
from in the past. And he has done it again. And look, it is not about what we want to be. It is not about whether I will be contesting or not. It is about should it be done now? And his answer was a clear no. He said, look, this is untimely. This is unwanted. He has simply told those behind his own, the noise around his name, I don't want this now. Other people whose names have been mentioned should follow suit. Even if you have a law, it will be difficult to make a law that will say I should not say I intend to be so. Even as primary school pupils, we used to say I want to be a doctor when I grow up. That's far away when you grow up, not to talk of 2023. So that's that. But talking about the rotational thing, the zoning thing, you see, Ayo, some people are behind this noise. Like I said before, this is where they are busy. And you are correct. No matter what we do, we are going to be discussing zoning, rotation. PDP will pick here, APC will run there till 2023. And it is going. It
very
has
sensitive issue.
It has become part of us. A lot of people will be distracted. We are going to have verbal exchange. We are going to have physical. If we are not careful, there will be clashes over this issue. At the end of it, look at how it started with Buhari is plotting for a third term. It is the same set of people. They want to keep all of us busy while they benefit from it. And like my brother here said, it takes our own consciousness to say, look, you have come again. I'm not interested in that discourse. If we reject the discourses will die natural deaths.
And the media is also a culprit.
We are guilty. We are guilty, hyper guilty. Because the moment they bring it to us, we latch on it and we claim to be agenda setting. Is this the agenda we should be setting now? Is how this government will perform well or be told in clear terms that you are not performing.
Fulfill its campaign promises.
Fulfill or be told you are not fulfilling it. But rather than do that, we help people who are playing mind games. Because having been around in covering politics for a while, I always identify it easily when it comes, like you always do. Oh, this is a game. We call it script. And then look at Atiku also had to come out to tell his own party, look, let's leave this. They also, I think they are beginning to also understand these things. The more people coming out like Asiwaju to say, we don't need this now, the less problem we'll have.
All right, moving on now. In our own eyes, the Edo State House of Assembly is gradually becoming Edo House of Commission. Now, a planned by-election to fill the seats of 14 members declared vacant by the Speaker has been truncated by the courts. The Federal High Court in Abuja restrained the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, from conducting fresh elections to replace the 14 lawmakers. Justice Ahmed Mohammed gave the order pending hearing and determination of the suit against the leadership of the House. Meanwhile, INEC is going ahead with the conduct of the court-ordered rerun elections across the country. The commission has fixed 25th of January to conduct the rerun polls in 28 federal constituencies spread across 11 states in the country. Let's talk about Edo State now, gentlemen. These members were actually elected into the State House of Assembly, and for strange reasons, 4 people or so attended the first sitting, and they elected a speaker, and the rest, after the governor issued his proclamation, and I don't know what happened, but the majority of the members of that house, they are not able to sit with that house. I don't know if the house has been sitting. I don't know if the house is even functional. Now, what we have now is a situation whereby after some time, that the governor and the other assembly members are saying that the seats should be declared vacant and INEC should conduct a fresh election. Now, we've had the National Assembly. The National Assembly had said, look, the governor issued a fresh proclamation, both the Senate and the House of Representatives, but the governor actually went to court, and the court is saying that the governor does not need to issue a fresh proclamation. Let me start from
here. Let's put the issue in a very clear perspective. One, there's always been courts, not just the court talking. There's a court has told the National Assembly, you cannot close down or interfere in certain manners in what is happening in Edo. No court has actually said the governor should not issue a fresh proclamation. What the court has done is to prevent the National Assembly from carrying out its threat to close down the State Assembly. But there is a court that has always also said in the interim, the proclamation issued by the governor should be examined. And there is a case in court, pending, ongoing in court, over whether that proclamation was properly issued or not. It is an ongoing case. Now, while that case is ongoing, the governor has in place a speaker and other other officials who are functioning contrary to the expectation of the majority of the House members who are staying away. If we have on our hand a case where we are to examine and decide whether a minority can lead the majority. Edo is a peculiar case where the executive is using its power to ensure that a minority group has its way in the House. While one is not passing judgment because the court will do that. What we are simply saying is that this same minority now went ahead to declare vacant the seats of the majority because they have not been coming to sittings. And the argument is that no proclamation, no proper proclamation has been issued, and they are contesting this in court. There is no way you will place normality on abnormality. What for INEC that said we will conduct election, it was because a court said the seats have been declared vacant, conduct elections. But another court has just told INEC now that you are aware that there are cases in court. If you go ahead and conduct an election, you will create new problems because people who will be elected now will not just walk away. Leave this matter of conducting election until we are done with the cases in court. The cases are about whether the governor is right, whether the House itself is properly constituted. There are questions. The National Assembly said governor issued a fresh proclamation. What we had was a proclamation was issued in the middle of the night. People went to the house of short knickers and bedroom slippers. And there's some people were seen running inside, obviously waking up from their sleep in the middle of the night. We are not involved, and we should not take sides. Why we cannot categorically say this is right or wrong. The court will have to do that. And all parties in this case, if they don't want to create fresh problems, should wait until that case or those cases that has to do with the constitution of that house and the proclamation issued by them are disposed of. It is only then that we can begin to look at whether even the speaker that is declaring seats vacant has the power to do so.
Jerry, don't you think their constituents, don't you think they are being shortchanged? Those
Absolutely.
who are not attending the sitting that they've not been cleared.
Absolutely, they are. Of course, they have been shortchanged, and it still boils down to, just like as I agree with Dari, and it still boils down to what we have been seeing earlier on. I mean, what was said about the interest of the people. It's very, very paramount, and I think every politician or every stakeholder in politics should understand that the interest of the people is very, very paramount. Because I see that the people of Edo State have not really, the governor, even the governor and all the political stakeholders in Edo State have not really have enough time to actually do what the people really want. If you look at it critically, the interest of the people. And I think that has always been the bane of our politics. Even though I agree that we are still on, our politics is still unfolding, and we'll get it right, but I think we should always have it at the back of our mind that the interest of the people is paramount.
All right, interest of the people is paramount. I'll take this breather. When we come back, we'll discuss more. So, Journalist Hangouts, please don't go away. Stay with us. It's a multi-award-winning program, Journalist Hangout. We're reaching you live from Television Continental here in Lagos, Nigeria. And we are looking at the intra-party crisis, I'll call it intra-party crisis, within the All Progressive Congress in Edo State. Now, when you want to look at the bigger picture between Governor Obaseki and Adams Oshiomhole, Governor Obaseki is insisting that, Mr. Chairman, we from Edo State, we have suspended you as the national chairman. Stop parading yourself as the national chairman. Meanwhile, the national chairman is still representing the party, still holding NWC meeting, and still consulting with the president. I don't know. Who is the joker here?
Sometimes I wonder who are the people really consulting for Obaseki. The issues on ground aside, as a governor who got elected into such a coveted office on the platform of a political party, one will expect that he will have read the constitution and the other books of that political party. The simplest question to ask Mr. Obaseki is, what does your party constitution say about this, your argument? The party constitution of APC clearly states who can suspend who, or who can, what is the other word, dismiss or remove from the party. The national officials of the party cannot be suspended by even the state chapter. That's what their constitution says. They can only be suspended by the NEC and not even the NWC. The NEC.
NEC, the bigger house.
The biggest house. That is what the constitution says. That somebody in Oshiomole's mode, even a vice chairman, even the spokesperson of the party, the auditor at the national level, cannot be suspended by his state governor of chapter. Just like a state executive or a state chairman cannot be suspended by his ward or his local government. You will recommend his suspension from his ward. Okay. Because
let me take this call from Kwara State. Kaide is calling us from Kwara State. Thank you for joining us, Kaide.
Okay, sir.
Go ahead with your contribution.
Yeah, my contribution is this.
The audio is challenging. I can't hear Kaide.
So you understand? So the governor, I believe, should know all this. And if he is aware of this and he's still making such unserious...
Remain suspended.
When you know
party
that...
leader.
I mean, Nobody is faulting the fact that he's the party leader in Edo State. Is he the party leader at the national level? If no, can he suspend the national chairman? Was Oshiomhole elected national chairman by the Edo contingents alone? The answer is no. So we should stop carrying on futile exercises. I will expect that Mr. Governor will channel his argument constructively, not engage in these jokes, because between the two of them, Obaseki is obviously the joker when it comes to the issue of who is suspended. Look at it. The chairman of the party in the state was suspended by a faction, and the national leadership upheld it. Ojezua is no longer recognized as the state chairman of APC in Edo. That's the man the governor is claiming has suspended the national chairman. There was a meeting of NEC. The president, everybody was there. Ojezua was sent back. The other fellow recognized by Oshiomhole attended. And you sit in your corner of Edo State and you claim you have suspended the man who is calling the shot until a time when Oshiomhole loses steam and is no longer in charge of the party as the national chairman. Mr. Governor, in his own interest, should tread softly. I have this compassion for Obaseki for personal reasons.
But Jerry,
but the way he's going about this,
I
don't think
Mr. Governor has, when you look at Oshiomhole and Obaseki, Obaseki has been bold enough to take the battle to Oshiomhole several times, and he has been making bold statements. He has been, I expected Oshiomhole to be the bolder one here, but Obaseki has been the one doing the talking and everything. Don't you think Obaseki has a kind of support behind him?
Well, he is the governor of the state, and he must have. I mean, he has followers, at least people loyals. I mean, I'm
even talking about even people that are aggrieved, that have a kind of axe to grind against Oshiomhole, coming together to back Obaseki.
Yeah, that's politics anyway. And when it comes to politics, a lot of interests. As the governor of the state, he is the governor. He has a lot of loyalty. I mean, he has people that might even be loyal to him.
Yes.
You understand. But I think for me as a person, I am more interested in the two big stakeholders actually shielding their sword and actually reaching an agreement so that governance can move forward in Edo State. I'm more interested in governance in Edo State. The Edo people, there are too much distractions with this whole Ulo Balo and Bikri. And I think that's, as a person, that's where I'm interested in.
Dari, it's as if those guys, I've said it before, both Oshiomhole and Obaseki, they've crossed the Rubicon of negotiation. As in, when you look at how bad things are, yes, the things are, what they're both saying.
Ayo, let's look at.
Okay, I think Mohammed is calling us from Yobe State. Okay. Thank you for joining us, Mohammed.
Yeah, thank you very much. I am fan of TBC News.
Thank you.
I always like watching TBC.
Oh, thank you, Mohammed. All the way from
Yobe. We know the Nigerians. We not eastern part of Nigeria. We have been marginalized since 1960 today, and we have never produced a Nigerian president. So we are begging this government to shift power to Yobe, to northeastern part of Nigeria, so that we produce a president.
Thank you. Thank you, Mohammed. As we predicted earlier, that
it's not about northern Nigeria now. It's about Yobe State.
This is somebody. No, this person is saying from the northeast. That they are marginalized.
He
narrowed it down.
To Yobe. so you can see the layers we are going. Soon, it will narrow down to a town. For example, from the whole, since 1960, Oderemo, my town, has not produced a president. And don't you think we should be considered?
And everybody produce a president.
You see, I was talking about the Edo scenario. Sincerely, for me, I am interested in the resolution of this crisis. But whoever is interested in the resolution of this crisis and is not telling the parties the truth is being unfair. The truth here is that Mr. Governor should know that on his own, or Edo as a state cannot suspend or impeach or remove Oshiomhole. He needs external forces. And if he thinks he has external support, it is always about interest. the moment Oshiomhole is able to convince those supporting him now that he will serve their interest, they will back out of this. And it is Obaseki who has an election just in front of him.
2020.
Not any other governor backing him. And you should remember what happened in Lagos State. It's a fresh memory, the Ambode saga, where the party now, one thing we have gained in Nigeria is the party is appearing supreme, really, really supreme. It happened in Lagos. We saw it playing out in Kwara, where the party can now decide, look, this is what we want. Either a sitting governor is satisfied with it or not. He should be conscious of how will he fare when the chips are down. You want to fight the big masquerade? You think because you have patronages to dole out, it will see you through? It may not. People shouting, crucify Oshiomhole now are doing so because Obaseki is the one controlling the resources. The moment they are sure that the pendulum will swing elsewhere, he will abandon the governor, and then his political ability to matchmake and reach out will be left as the only thing. It is not enough to say he has support. He may have support, but those support, will it be enough for him to scale this ordeal? That's the question begging for an answer.
Okay, moving on now. Nigeria's troubled northeast continues to suffer the pangs of insurgency. In a fresh bomb attack on a pedestrian bridge in Gaboru, Borno State, which leads to neighboring Cameroon, about 30 people were reportedly killed and 35 others injured. Though the cause of the explosion was shrouded in uncertainty, residents of the town believe it was caused by the terrorist group Boko Haram. The Nigerian military closed the bridge after the explosion. Jerry, the menace of Boko Haram again here in Borno State. So we've lost 30, 35 seriously injured, and I'm sure if you do the body count, it could be more than 30.
Yeah, sure. It's still staring at us in the face that the fight against Boko Haram, even though I strongly believe that the army has actually they've actually tried and they've actually did over the years. But I think what is happening now is actually staring us in the face and letting us know that there's still a lot of work to be done. There's still more to be done, and the army need to be more tactical, and the army need to try as much as possible to understand that it's not over yet, and it's just a wake-up call for all of us.
It's gone past a decade. This started in 2009.
Yeah, in 2009, 2010. So it's still a wake-up call for the army, the wake-up call for the government, the wake-up call for everybody that there's still more to be done in tackling Boko Haram.
Dari, when you look at the methods, I think we started looking inwards, and the other time we were told that the Nigerian army, they are bringing they're producing a kind of anti-landmine, maybe is it MRAP? They called it MRAP, and all these tanks, and so that they'll be able to move in all these areas that Boko Haram might have laid their landmines. I think this is one of the mines that exploded in this bridge.
You see, Boko Haram, for me, is on going through its last days. But we should not lose sight of surprise attacks like this. Look at what was targeted, the pedestrian bridge. But the government and the military fighting this war should also be proactive. In such an area, there should be no location that should be crowded. That's something we are not, looking into. We shouldn't have crowded locations for people. If it's 5, it's 10. A suicide bomber won't go there thinking that the number is too low. But where you have 65 persons in a particular location, that's prime target for suicide bombers and suicide attacks. So they saw an opportunity and they utilized it. But that's not to say the army is being defeated. That's not to say as if the war against Boko Haram is not being won. We are doing a lot because we are seeing less of battles these days from the reports we are getting. Less of battles. They have resorted back to this surprise hit and run attacks. But we need to ensure that lives are no longer being wasted. We need to ensure that people, we are the one telling people go back to some areas. They are now safe. They are now free of terrorists. But if they are returning and what they get is this kind of treatment that leads to loss of life and amputation of limbs. I don't think people will be encouraged to believe that the battle is being won. For the army, I think vigilance should still be the word. Serious vigilance. Because Boko Haram is like a wounded lion.
Okay.
They will look for who to devour.
And finally, amidst hopes and fears, a security outfit codenamed Operation Amotekun has taken off in Nigeria's southwest. The special operation, a brainchild of governors in the region, is aimed at curbing crimes. Governors of Lagos, Oyo, Ogun, Ondo, Osun, and Ekiti states met last year and deliberated on waves of insecurity and resolved to come up with a formidable outfit to stem the tide. But the move is already a subject of public discussion, with some experts saying it could be another strategy to have a regional police, or putting it mildly, a state police. Dari, this is noble.
Very noble.
When they were meeting, and at a point in time, the insecurity in the northeast, in the northern part of the country, actually came down to the southwest. We had bandits, kidnappers, and, it became a frequent thing. After that time, it went down. But the governors had met, and they're putting this together, and I don't know the level of cooperation they're getting from the police and other...
You just hit the nail on the head. And when I say you hit the nail on the head, you just pointed what the problem with this arrangement is, because I see a problem. When they were discussing, we had that each state will provide 20 vehicles. That was the what we were told.
Okay.
20 vehicles. But as at this morning, all they have is 20 vehicles. Meaning that some states have not lived up to their expectation. It is because the crime wave, the insecurity level, improved. The kidnapping, the banditry reduced. And maybe some governors are already feeling, look, do we still really need this? And this is dangerous, because the fact that when you start discussing this, the things change, is to tell you that criminals are also very calculative. In their opinion, that area will soon become a no-go area. And they started looking elsewhere to ply their trade. That's for you to know that the initiative is noble, is good, is grand. And all efforts should be geared towards seeing it through. Not chickening out or reducing your commitment, because we are here to be told this thing is start kicking off tomorrow. Tomorrow, as of today, the modalities are yet to be explained. We have some people whose organizations have been mentioned as those who play one part or the other, like the OPC. We had Adam saying he's yet to be contacted. 24 hours to take kickoff. If he, as the head of the OPC, is saying he's yet to be contacted, meaning that, and then we are hearing that...
Do they have trained personnel already?
Have they been trained? Or are we just going to take hunters and vigilantes and throw them to go and confront armed robbers and bandits and kidnappers who are sophisticatedly armed? That would be a disaster. The issue here should be how committed are the governors. A good idea, but it needs serious commitment for us to see it through. If they don't believe in what they are introducing to us, how are we going to take them serious? It's a challenge.
Is that resulting back to regionalism? And I don't know the level of cooperation this is going to get from the federal-backed agencies like the police, military, and everything. This is novel. This is a first of its kind in Nigeria, and I'm going to see. I know that in each state they have a kind of support that they give to the police, but this one, there's going to be security outfits. I don't know how effective this will be.
Well, I think from the feelers I've gotten, because I've actually had discussions with some stakeholders in this Operation Amotekun, and I think the police also, in so many forums, we've had the Inspector General of Police talked about community policing, state policing, and the argument has been on. And I think I've had the Inspector General of Police talked about it is time to actually integrate the community, the people, into intelligence gathering in the fight against, criminality. And I think from the feelers I've gotten it, I think the police are actually very much involved in this operation Amotekun thing. And I think it's a laudable one from the governors, because the major, the fundamental contract of the authority to the people is security of lives and property. And I think the 6 Southwest governors that have come up with this, they should see it as an opportunity to actually express this to the fullest, because it's something that I feel that it's going to actually curb crime, and I think that is the way to go.
Do you see this replicated in other regions?
Of course, in some states, even you already have something similar. If you go to the northwest, you have ISBA in nearly all the states, Kaduna, Kano, and I know that there are some form of cooperation among the various. Then if you go to the east too, we've heard of the Bakassi groups, and they are still very functional in some states, and they have some partnership with some state government. So I think coming from, this is just more sophisticated. It is more elaborate.
How committed will these state governors be? Is funding not going to be a challenge?
That's something I said earlier. If each state was to produce, to contribute 20 vehicles, and as of today we have just 20, meaning that maybe they contributed 4 or some have not even given any. It is something to be worried about, because 20 vehicles cannot patrol Ikorodu local government. 20 vehicles cannot successfully patrol Ikorodu, not to talk of a state or even the entire Southwest. So if we have to do it, let us do it well. Because if takeoff is already a problem, implementation and sustainability will become a real issue. And the governors must set aside party interest, party affiliations, political interest groups, and see this as something that must be done in togetherness. If a state is defaulting, the other state that is capable should be willing and ready to assist. We understand, because the capacity of the states are not equal. And so also is their need for this security arrangement. Some states actually have more need for this than the other. So all this should be, should come into consideration in how they will, sort this out in such a manner that at the end of the day, the people of the Southwest will be the beneficiaries. And the call, I think, because this is in the Southwest, if properly handled and implemented, it will make the agitation for state police or regional police easier, because people, as well as government in the center and in other parts of the country, will see the usefulness, and everybody will be like, oh, I think it's time for us to go this way.
Okay.
That's the beauty of what is just being done.
Thank you for your contribution, Dario Odufowokan. I want to thank you for your contribution today. And Jerry, also, thank you in spite of the short notice.
Yeah,
thank you for being part of the team of Journalists Hangout. And that's our offering today. Join us tomorrow for another episode of the program, and also watch Journalists Hangout on our platforms showing on the screen. We're on YouTube, youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. Our feedback channel is Journalists Hangout at tvcnews.tv. I'm Ayodele Ozubakun. Bye for now, and see you tomorrow.